Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience this evening. Having some technical beginner issues with Facebook. So, anyway, let's get started, shall we? So, without further ado, my name is Aaron Wagner. I host a platform called Behind the Mic on Instagram. I hosted it last year and the year before with some live music and some other artists. Now, this year, to start it all off, I am being joined by Audrey Wilson. So, let's get started with a formal introduction about my platform and about Audrey. All right, here we go. So, my name is Aaron Wagner, and I am the host of Behind the Mic, a virtual interview/performance stream. However, tonight's episode is to give local active book readers an opportunity to learn about the author behind the book. This evening's guest is Audrey Wilson. Let's learn a little about her. Audrey Wilson is an award-winning writer and screenwriter with a BA in television, writing, and producing from Columbia College, Chicago. Having written her whole life, Audrey's passion has led her to the publication of her debut novel, Wrong Girl Gone. While Wrong Girl Gone may be Audrey's first novel, she's no stranger to writing. Audrey has written over 15 screenplays and television episodes and has won a variety of awards for her writing, including a regional Emmy nomination. Congratulations, Audrey. Congratulations. You can find her book, Wrong Girl Gone, in paperback and digital on Amazon by clicking the link below in this video. It is also available at the book table in Oak Park, Illinois, and Mount Prospect Library. If you would like, you can follow her blog or journey by checking Audrey Wilson on Facebook, Instagram, and at her Instagram handle at dreamby91, or by checking her website, audreywilsonauthor.com. So, without further ado, let's once again try to invite Audrey. Just sent her a request. Please send me a request. That is correct, Audrey. I just got your message, but I am not seeing you on the viewer list for some reason. Or in the top right hand corner. I do see that 7 of you guys are here. I really apologize for having these issues. Tried this earlier today and it did work. And oh, it's gone. It looks like there are people in the comment section commenting. Audrey, give me a. Can you possibly send me a. There we are. And here. Finally figured this out. Sorry about that, everybody, and sorry to Audrey. Thank you for sending me your request. All right, now we're just waiting for Facebook to boot it up. All right. Audrey, hello.
Hi, Aaron. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you pretty good. Thank you.
Awesome. Sorry, I had to, for some reason, it wasn't letting me join on my computer, so hopefully this will work.
Oh, you know what? As a matter of fact, so both users need to be on the same, I guess, mobile
Oh, device.
device. And the other thing that is interesting, which I am figuring out here, is that on a computer, you have a scheduled event and you have to go live at that scheduled time. While on the mobile device, if you have a slight delay, you can still go live.
Got
So
it.
that is,
Okay. Well,
it's all good.
I'm glad that I'm in now at least. Sorry about my
Oh,
phone.
no, you're
Let's
good.
see if that works. All right, we
So,
should be good.
okay, cool. Sometimes what I do is like take a cup or a frame or a book and put
Yeah,
it right behind and just let it sit there. Um,
yeah, got it like wedged in my laptop stand. So
oh,
we
like the
should be
crack.
good.
Gotcha. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your patience. This has been a learning experience for me on the first time being on Facebook. Um, and the first time having you as a guest. So thank you so much. I really honor your I guess dedication to like getting this to work. So
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Aaron. I know it was a little clunky to start out with, but I'm really happy to be here and I really appreciate you having me.
thanks. How are you feeling today?
Feeling
How's
good. Feeling good.
very
Yeah, I
good.
got up and did a little writing this morning, which is always a good way to start the day, and otherwise
True.
it's been a nice day off.
Very good. Do you mind? What are you in the works? Are you working on another piece or just kind of
Yeah.
journaling?
Yeah, a couple things. I'm working on a screenplay that I'm writing with Danny, my partner and my writing partner. And then also I've been working on kind of starting another book, but it's still kind of in the outlining stages, so very rough.
Ah, gotcha. Well, that is great. I'm glad to hear that you like still, I guess, they say artists never stop working, even in the middle of the night.
Very
So
true.
we don't
That's when
stop.
we work the best. We don't sleep.
That's true. We're night owls, right?
Yes,
So,
definitely.
well, that's pretty cool. As a matter of fact, I started off my day by helping out my buddies Jackson Adams. They got an upcoming show next week doing a music video release. And so just helping them out with getting everything situated. But in the works of that, I was finishing up the questions and the intro and all that for tonight. So yeah, did some work today too.
Cool. Very cool. Well, thank you for putting this all together. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I appreciate the shout outs and also the love for the cartoon. So
Yes. Very true,
great.
Rachel. Creative night owls. That's what we are.
This is true. This is true. Um, so I guess I would like to start off, as I was trying to earlier with the little technical issues. I'd like to start off by those who are out there that are new to what I'm all about, which is I do a behind the mic show where I highlight different artists and ranging from music to animation and now kind of gravitating towards book writing and so forth. And so I'd like to get started by introducing you guys a little about my show with a formal introduction and then also a nice introduction to what everybody out there who follows me, what Audrey is all about. Shall we get started? All right.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So, as I said, welcome to what normally is Behind the Mic in the last 2 years. My name is Aaron Wagner, and I am the host of Behind the Mic, a virtual interview / performance stream. Now, tonight's episode is to give local active book readers an opportunity to learn about the author tonight. Behind the book is going to be with tonight's guest, which is Audrey Wilson, which I'd like to give you a little bit about Audrey for those who don't know. So Audrey Wilson is an award-winning writer and screenwriter with a BA in television, writing, and producing from Columbia College, Chicago. Having written her whole life, as you can tell, she doesn't stop. Audrey's passion has led her to the publication of her debut novel, Wrong Girl Gone, which we're here to discuss tonight. While Wrong Girl Gone may be Audrey's first novel, she's no stranger to writing. Audrey has written over 15 screenplays and television episodes and has won a variety of awards for her writing, including a regional Emmy nomination. I like to give that dramatic pause. You can find her book, Wrong Girl Gone, in paperback and digital on Amazon. They also have it available at the Book Table, located in Oak Park, Illinois, and Mount Prospect Library. If you would like to follow her blog or journey, visit Audrey Wilson on Facebook, Instagram at her handle DreamBy91, or by visiting her website, audreywilsonauthor.com. So I hope that is a nice formal introduction for you all for what I'm about and what this fine lady down here is all about as well.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate the introduction.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you again for sending off the introduction. I hope I did it justice. And I got
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. All right.
Yeah.
I also got, I thought it would be appropriate. I borrowed this from my my wife. It's a bookshelf filled with Harry Potter books and so many others.
I love it.
And they got little
My
pop
secret
downs.
shame.
There you go. There you go. I love it. And I was like, can I borrow this? And she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, is this okay? And she's like, okay, after a little discussion. But nonetheless, I thought it was a nice backdrop. got to feel the vibes of storytelling.
Definitely. I love it.
Thank you. So, first off, let's get into some questions. And then, by the way, we also will be talking a little bit, or excuse me, we'll also be having some off the cuff questions, some book topic questions, and we'll have a Q&A. So be sure to comment in the bottom of this video so we can discuss those afterwards. And we're also going to discuss, also have, excuse me, Audrey perform a little bit of some of the excerpts in the book. So I think that's going to be pretty exciting. So
Sneak peek.
yes, a sneak peek. And be sure to check out the link below, which also is featured in this video for you guys to go and purchase the book afterwards or during the video. All right. So first off, what inspired you to pursue your craft, Audrey?
That is a great question. I mean, I would say that I've honestly just always been a storyteller. I've always been very creative, very imaginative, ever since I was pretty little. My parents used to, play dolls with me and things like that, and I was always kind of in the mindset of creating stories. And then I also grew up just watching a lot of movies, especially the classics, classic films and classic television. So from kind of a very early age, I was just always very fascinated with films and storytelling. So I guess you could say it's kind of always been in my blood. And even, at this point in my life, I feel like I don't have nearly enough time to write as I would like, of course. And so I feel like I have way more ideas than I do time. And nowadays it almost feels like, oh, great, another idea. When am I going to have time to put this down on paper? But it's just very innate in me to write and to tell stories, and something that I always love doing.
That's awesome. I'm glad, it's sort of evident in just the beginning of the conversation that like it seems like something you just wake up in the morning and start doing, just because maybe it's the imagination that you go to sleep at night and like it just starts flowing.
That's definitely part of it. I know that I've had times where I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll have had a very vivid or interesting dream, and so I grab my notepad and I scribble something down. Like, that's a great idea. I'm gonna love making a story out of this. And then the next morning I wake up and I read what I wrote, and it'll be like pickles and applesauce, and I won't have any
Okay.
idea what that meant. But yeah, I guess it's always the creative juices are always flowing, especially at night.
Right? No, that's true. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll read a book about pickles and applesauce one day, and
You
it's going to
never
say
know.
pickles and applesauce. Wonderful combination by Audrey Wilson.
Yes, I love it. Maybe that's
Right?
the next golden idea.
Right? Sweet and sour is in this
Yes,
book.
yes.
So that's cool. What is your favorite activity to do outside of writing? A little bit of
I
a
almost
nail biter.
the yeah, that's a tough one because I my inclination is to say writing, but I do other things. I love going on walks, just being outside. Unfortunately, not as much these days with how cold it's been in the Chicago area. But yeah, I love going hiking, spending time with my family, with my partner, my friends. Um, I have kind of a few little random hobbies that I do, like knitting and needle felting, but even lately, I don't feel like I have much time for those.
Oh,
But those are all things that I definitely enjoy.
that's good. It's about those little moments, right? It's the little things these
Hmm.
days that we just gotta cherish every moment we got. So
Very true.
just, I guess the best thing to do is just find the time, you know. Um, so I've been learning from a friend of mine, stop running, slow and steady.
It's so true. Yeah, sometimes it feels like there's just not enough hours in the day, and we all have our day jobs and we have our hobbies and our families and friends, and it's just hard to kind of slot everything in. But it's definitely important to make time for yourself and what you enjoy.
Definitely, even if it takes a year or two just to get, 6 items off the list of things that you enjoy.
Absolutely.
So among the, 20 others.
Yeah.
So, oh, where where did you grow up and where do you live now?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Des Plaines, which is a suburb of the Chicagoland area, and now I live in Mount Prospect, which is pretty much the neighbor of Des Plaines. But yeah, I've just always lived in the Chicagoland area, and it's definitely my hometown and my home city. And I've visited other places and traveled other places, but it's definitely where I my roots are.
That's awesome. And this is kind of an off the cuff question, but like, how does it feel like walking through a library, for example, like the Mount Prospect Library? You're walking through and you just picked up these different books that you may have, whether in that library or a library, walking through the aisles and then realizing now this is like, you know, fast forward a number of years and now seeing that the books you read as a child or whatnot have now um, been like the bookends potentially of now your book. Like now those are, you know, things that you read as a kid and now you have a book on the shelf in a library that you may, you know, how's that feel?
Yeah. Oh, it's such a wonderful feeling. It's been my dream to be published for a very long time, and it's been a very long road. And so the other day, actually, my partner and I went to the Mount Prospect Library when we found out that my book was on the shelf there, and we talked to this really, really nice librarian who, I told her my book was one of the ones they were carrying now, and she was so excited for me, and it was honestly just very touching. It was great to have that connection and to be able to say I'm a local author and, to see my book on the shelf among so many like brilliant books and, my favorites, of course. But yeah, it was a really nice moment.
That's awesome. Well, I hope it continues. You know, there are many libraries
Thanks.
around. You're welcome. And I look forward to maybe stopping by the Mount Prospect Library later in the month. Maybe, you know, walk by. Oh, do you seen Audrey Wilson's book that, you know, Gone Girl Gone? Could I potentially, you know, do a little promo for the library and the book and her? Ah, sure,
Well,
why not?
I would appreciate I would appreciate that, definitely. Yeah, that's one thing that people can do to support independent or local authors is go to go on the website of your local library and you can request a book if they don't already carry it. So if you're in a different suburb besides Mount Prospect, Des Plaines, and Schaumburg, I think are the three main libraries in the area that are carrying it. But if you're in a different location, you can go ahead and put in a request at your local library.
Definitely. And as a matter of fact, Sharon, I think it's Reimer, she just said, working at a local library, Roselle Library, I am excited to be in on this interview. So I guess
Awesome.
she also works at a library. Well,
That's great
maybe,
to hear, Sharon.
right? Who knows? Maybe hey, another connection
Yeah,
for a
you
potential
never know.
library. I just want to read one more comment here.
Yeah.
Uh, oh yeah, definitely, Sean. This will be available afterwards on the Behind the Mic Facebook page for you guys to, and then I'm also going to be putting this up on YouTube as best as or excuse me, as quick as possible. And then it looks like Sharon said, I will check with my library and see if they
Oh.
carry your works.
Oh, well, thank you, Sean, for your comment, and Laura as well, if you're there. And then also thank you, Sharon. That's very nice of you. I really appreciate it.
There you go. So thank you for all the comments, guys. Keep them flowing. And of course, stay focused and stay in line with what we're talking about tonight. But if you feel motivated, spread the word. Um, we love spreading the love to our from our artists now. So let's start off with a reading, shall we? Before we get into some more questions, how's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right.
Um,
What would you like to
see,
start off
so
with?
let's start off with the first page and see if we can get some people hooked
Okay.
and wanting to buy it.
Sounds
All
good.
right, so got my copy right here. It's my own copy, and I've already gotten it dirty, so that's just, I guess, kind of what comes with being a book lover. But yes, I'll read the first page of chapter one of Wrong Girl
All
Gone.
right.
My name is Joy Larson. I am a 22-year-old female with dirty blonde hair, brown eyes, and a petite frame. My body will be discovered on the bank of the Kewanee River near Boone, Alabama, 350 miles east of Jasper, Mississippi. I'll be found face down in the mud, covered in cuts and bruises, with fingerprints around my neck. My extremities will be swollen from the rising tide. Time of death will be unknown. That's how the police will identify my body. That's what they'll tell you. What they won't tell you and don't know is that my name is Joy Elliott, and I lost more than my last name when I married Carl. Before being left for dead on the bank of the Kewanee River, I was a full-time mother, part-time waitress, and quarter-time wife. I list these jobs in order of importance. As I buckled my 5-year-old son Jerry in the back seat of that 1974 Ford Pinto station wagon and took a final look at our home, those last two jobs meant nothing to me. My eyes felt hot and watery, either from crying or from the painfully low sun in the sky. I told myself it was the sun and poured the last few drops of gas from the canister into the car. Despite being 15 years old, the station wagon still ran like rain. Thank God, because I had no intention of hitchhiking my way out of my marriage. A single mother and her kid, we'd either be a target or avoided like the plague.
Wow.
That's page one.
Dang. I love the description of like drawing us a picture of what's going on in this moment from the modern like the narrator being the character. And now is the story surrounded by this character narrating the story, or is it other voices telling her story as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's all told from her perspective, in first person, and it's funny too. Just a little kind of behind the book fact.
Yeah.
That first paragraph, that was pretty much word for word what I'd originally written when I started writing this book like 13 years ago. Tons of other stuff in the book had changed since then, but I always kind of kept going back to that first paragraph, and that was something that I never ended up really changing, which
Hmm.
is just kind of interesting.
That is interesting that it starts off the way that you intended it, as opposed to like sometimes things change over the progression of like from start to finish. You sometimes, oh, maybe I should change this, but maybe not.
Right.
That's awesome.
The beauty of editing.
Yes, this is true. Um, Speaking of which, where did you find your inspiration for the book?
Well, I was 17 when I first came up with the idea, and oddly enough, I was at a Home Depot, and I think I was with my mom. She had to, run an errand there, and I don't know what struck me, but I just had this idea come to me, and I remember grabbing I needed a piece of paper to write it down because I really didn't have a good phone that I could, put my notes in at the time. It was, a while ago, and we still had the flip phones. And so I actually found a job application for Home Depot, and I flipped it over and grabbed a pen and just started jotting down just kind of this general idea of a woman. I knew her name was Joy, and I knew she had a son and an abusive relationship that she needed to get out of. And I just kind of started putting down my ideas and went home and started shaping it and adding to it, and until eventually 2, 3 years later, I finished a first draft. So
Wow,
it's definitely a long road, but that was kind of where the first nugget of inspiration came from.
that's interesting. That's really cool. I'm gonna have to like rewatch. I'm trying to get in the habit of rewatching these episodes that I record, um, with my guests, just to practice, but also to like kind of dig up all the information that I collected from my guests that like I missed, right? I missed the other end of like the answer to my question. you sometimes they're like in the moment, what's the next question I need to ask?
Right.
So it's nice to be able to rewatch it, but that is cool. Well, I'm intrigued. I don't really read a whole lot, but I'm intrigued. So
I unfortunately don't read nearly as much as I like to, so I'm in the same boat with you there. I've been getting into audiobooks a lot lately though, because I feel like I can like do something else while I'm listening to them. Like it's hard for me to find the
true,
time to just sit down and read. So this way I'm like, oh, I'll listen while I'm folding laundry or doing dishes.
right? That's
Yeah.
true. And nowadays we all try to multitask. Um,
Right.
kind of an off the cuff question, really quick, just because
Yep.
the book is still new. But in the moment of like audio, right? A lot of books are starting to appeal to listeners, not just readers. Are you looking to maybe narrate an audio book version of your book, or is that something you're thinking about, or is that kind of
Yeah.
for the next one?
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've thought about, and that I might still do in the future. I don't like listening to my own voice, so I would not want to be the one to do it. But a good friend of mine, Shayna Somerville, is an audiobook narrator, and
Oh, okay.
I would probably try to find out if she could do it. You know, she's pretty booked up, but I would love to have her narrate my book eventually.
Cool. Well, shout out to her, and hopefully, who knows, these types of videos sometimes roll around without my
Definitely.
intentions. So I always intended to go farther for both of us, but nonetheless, um, who knows who's watching?
You never
So
know.
it's true. So going back to the next question, what was your process for writing the book?
Well, I would say that my first process with this book and with pretty much any book I write is writing an outline. I know some writers are able to just kind of write without one, but I'm definitely the type of person who needs to have at least most of it structured out ahead of time before I start kind of getting to the meat of writing. So I'll usually start with an outline, I'll write some character descriptions, and of course, the outline will evolve over time and as I actually start writing the book, there might be scenes that I add or things that I change. But definitely outlining is my first step. Then I'll get to actually writing it. And when I wrote my last book, which was a horror book, I really kind of set myself on a deadline. I wrote it during the pandemic, so I didn't have a whole lot else going on. So I just kind of told myself, write at least 1,000 words a day. Some days I knew I was going to be under that goal. Sometimes I would be over it, but I just tried to set myself a goal of 1,000 words a day. And I actually ended up writing
Hmm.
the book in, I think, 3 or 4 months. So, which is the
Wow.
fastest I've ever written anything. As I said with Wrong Girl Gone, it took me about 3 years to write a first draft. So, I tend to get a little sidetracked at times, but having a goal definitely helps. And then after I've written a full first draft, I sometimes will take a little bit of time to kind of step away from it. But more often than not, I like to get right into editing. So I'll go right back to the beginning and start, reading through it, making kind of bigger changes to the story. And then after a few times of that, I'll go in and I'll start doing like kind of the copy edits. So just grammar and spelling and the little nitpicky things until it's very nice and clean and ready to go. And then I'll usually share it with some friends and people in my family and ask them to read it when they have time and give me their feedback. And then I'll try to take that feedback in, whatever they give me, and see if I need to tweak anything else. And then after that comes the querying process, which is kind of long and can be frustrating at times because you've got to kind of go into it expecting a lot of rejections, when you're
Right.
querying literary agents and publishers. Um, but for that process in itself, I actually have a few blogs on my website,
Yeah, it's awesome.
audreywilsonauthor.com. Yeah, so I've got some blogs on there about writing a query letter, which is hopefully helpful for new writers. And actually, in February, I'm doing a author talk with the Independent Writers of Chicago on writing query letters. So hopefully,
Nice.
if there's Yeah, if there's any writers listening out there, they can take a join into that and take a look at some of the blogs. But anyway, just kind of querying and trying to like the idea of the query letter is you want to try to sell your book, right? You want to know exactly what it's about and who your audience is, and just make it sound as good as possible to the, literary agent who is reading hundreds of queries a day. So it's definitely a challenge, but it's also a fun part of the process. It's kind of the marketing sales part of it, which is kind of fun and exciting.
Definitely. That's yeah, that kind of gives you like sort of an elevator pitch, right? Without,
Yeah,
you know, just being able to write it first and then it's like, okay, I memorize this. That way I can maybe spit it out in the middle of a walk or talk or elevator to in case,
exactly.
right? That's
Yep.
cool.
If you get stuck in an elevator, with Stephen King, you want to be able to, pitch him your next great idea.
This is true. This is true.
You never
Um,
know.
no, you really don't. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process. Uh, Give a shout out really quick to my friend who's my next guest in February, as a matter of fact, who's helping me write a children's book, and we're going about that process. And so these are definitely some notes I'm taking for myself too. So
Awesome.
pra- uh, picking down all those practices that you just filled me in with. Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. Well, anytime you have any questions or anything, I'm happy to help.
Thank you so much. I do sincerely appreciate that. By the way, if you should like to share any endeavors that you write, you'd like to share it with a public individual, feel free, send them by. I'd love to give you feedback as well.
Sure, yeah, I would love that. And actually, what you just said kind of reminded me, if you want, I can share one of the weirdest responses to a query letter that I've
Sure,
ever
go for
received.
it. I love it.
So I don't remember who it was, and if I did, I wouldn't want to say, but I remember I sent a query letter, and almost immediately I got back the response, "Sorry, can't help." And
Huh.
I don't know, yeah, I'd never gotten one quite like that before, and it just struck me as more, I wasn't even like upset that I was rejected. It was just more funny that they
Sorry,
said
can't
they
help.
couldn't help. Yeah, sorry, can't help. But it just kind of was funny to me because usually you get like a standard like, oh, thank you for sending your material. I'm sorry it's not a good fit. But that
Right.
one just stood out.
That is interesting because like some of these, critics, it's like, hmm, any constructive criticism or is all you have criticism?
Right? And that's the bummer too with a lot of query rejections is once in a great while you'll get actually some feedback, but a lot of the time it's just I'm not a good fit for this. Sorry.
Hmm,
So yeah, you
interesting.
got to be your own best editor.
This is true because otherwise others will eat you alive, right? Um,
True.
so, by the way, you said that event, speaking of events, you said that
Yeah.
it's happening in February. Is there a date or location?
Yeah, I believe it is February 8th. It'll be virtual, but I'm happy to I'll share a link after this on the event page here if you'd
Yes,
like. But
please do.
yeah, it's the Independent Writers of Chicago, and they have a guest speaker every month, and so I'm going to be their speaker for February. And
Oh,
so if you
that's
have any
so
other
cool.
questions about querying and publishing, hopefully I can answer them there.
Awesome. Well, yeah, congrats on being part of the team, and the Chicago Writers and being able to have the pleasure to be a speaker. So um,
Definitely, I'm excited.
you should be. So, going back to the comments here, and then I do have, let's see, we were going to go into a few more questions. Let's see, I think we have five more questions, one related to a plug, and then I reading of chapter 4. And then, but first off, I'd like to give a shout out to a comment here. So, Sean asks, when when you went to Columbia College, as I did, cool. Did you take any writing classes? Your first page answers their big question. What happens next? Um, that is a brilliant page turner of an opening, and I know from experience how hard settling on a strong beginning. Speaking of audiobooks, when will yours be there? Yes, that was his question. I think you might
Great.
have answered that.
Yeah, no, I definitely took a lot of writing classes when I was at Columbia. Not really any fiction writing classes. I did take a couple of those when I went to Harper College. But at Columbia, I took a lot of screenwriting classes, and that really helped teach me about structure. We learned a lot about three-act structure, five-act structure, how to really have, a good cliffhanger and an inciting incident and kind of the formula that you need to follow to make a really exciting story. And as I learned, obviously I started writing this when I was in high school, but it took me through college and even after college to finish it and to really polish it. And so I kind of tried to take whatever I learned along the way. So a lot of it was at Columbia and at Harper and through learning from different writers, just how to be the best that I could be. So, yeah, I definitely tried to apply that when writing this. And yeah, like Aaron said, I kind of answered the question with audiobooks. Hopefully, eventually that'll be in the cards. And nothing planned right now, but I'd love to see it be an audiobook one day.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat just to be able to like be in the car and be like, I remember talking in this one.
Exactly.
You know? So that's cool. Um, and then we'll get back to your mention here, Sharon. I do see that you commented here. And Ray, of course, your short we have fiction writing at Harper was great, according to Ray. Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, she and I had our share of writing classes together at Harper.
Oh, cool. Well, shout out to Ray. And how do you pronounce her last name? Is it Novella?
Novella, yeah.
Shout out to you for watching and
She's one of my
supporting.
one of my biggest fans. So thank you for all your support, Ray Novella.
There you go. There you go. Those big fans show up, right?
Yes.
So, a lot of artists, a lot of musicians, all sorts of people that are creative, uh, decomp have a lot of stress and anxiety, and it's pretty common. So, what do you do to decompress during times of anxiety or stress?
That's a really good question. In a way, I would say that I try to cope with my anxiety and stress through writing. That often actually helps me a lot. I find it to be very therapeutic. But when writing is the frustration and I'm stressed with my writing, I like to go for walks. Kind of like I said earlier, I really like to be outside and take long walks. I like to work out, just watch movies and television shows, try to be inspired by other pieces of art. And like I said too, when I have time reading, but I don't feel like I get to do that as much as I would like.
One book a year, maybe.
Yeah, couple more than that, but yeah, I definitely do like to watch television shows though. They're big inspiration for me.
Cool. If you were to pick up one TV show, and then we'll get back. What was
Oh,
one
good
TV show
question.
that just comes to mind without even thinking?
I just finished season 3 of You, and
Okay,
I was on the edge of my seat throughout the whole thing. It was very intense, and I really enjoyed it. It was probably my favorite season of the series. And I would watch it while I was working out on my exercise bike, and a lot of the time I was just like pedaling so hard because I'd get so like involved in the
sure.
show. So it definitely did a great job of keeping you hooked.
That's awesome. And since you've written somewhat of a thriller, I guess
Yeah,
put that in perspective from the other end, right?
definitely.
On a TV level, right? Um,
Yes.
if you could collaborate The tension builds, everybody. Okay. If you could collaborate with your favorite writer or director, mentioned television, um, on set, who would it be and why? Take a
That's a tough
second to think
question.
about that.
That's a tough one.
We could
Can
always
I give
hold
you
you
a
to
top
it.
three?
Okay, top three, okay,
Okay.
but only one. Why?
Okay. I
Because
would
we
say,
got a few more questions here.
sure. I would say top three would be M. Night Shyamalan. I know he gets hated on a lot, but he's a very good storyteller. Greta Gerwig and Jordan Peele. And
Ooh, Jordan
my
Peele.
why,
Okay.
yeah, my why I'm going to go with Jordan Peele because, obviously in the last few years, he's just really come up through the ranks as a storyteller and a filmmaker. And, he does it in such an intricate way where he combines these very heavy and, serious issues and he twists them into these great stories. And it's, it's magic the way he does it to me. He just kind of touches them and makes this, this magic happen with kind of bringing attention to racism and different social issues. And he's definitely an inspiration for me with a lot of my work. So, Jordan, if you're watching this, give me a call.
All
Love to
right.
collaborate.
There you go. Reach out with a query, maybe.
Yeah, yep.
So, wink, wink, obviously to Audrey, but certainly the other way around too. Be possible. Um, so, okay. So I know we kind of started a bit late, but I still like to get your feedback on these questions. But would you like to go into reading the next, um, guess, part in your book, which would be chapter 4, 25 to 27, if it's
Sure.
not too much to ask?
Got it right here. Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. So chapter four. So we pick up once Joy has already left her husband. Jerry was still asleep in the back seat when I pulled off the dark road into the gas station for a fill-up and some food. He'd always been a light sleeper and woke just as I turned off the engine. "Mama," he whispered. "Hey, sleepyhead." I turned around to face him. He had his pillow pressed up against the door and was lying with his head flat on the seat. I felt the car getting cold a few miles back and draped my old jean jacket over him to help keep him warm. It was starting to slide off, so I reached back and tucked him in better. "Where are we?" he asked. "We're at a gas station. I'm going to find a place for us to sleep soon, okay?" He rubbed his eye. "I'm hungry. I'll get us some snacks." "I want ho-hos," he fussed, "and chocolate milk." "I'll do my best." "You have to get them, though." "Yes, I will." Now was not the time for a temper tantrum. "I'm going to lock the doors. You lay down and stay here, okay? Don't open the door for anyone except me. Got it, baby?" He nodded and turned over under the jacket. I got out of the car and locked the door, taking my purse and the money with me. The lights in the gas station were greenish yellow and made my hands look sickly. I grabbed a couple packages of Suzy Q's and Ho-Hos, a box of Pop-Tarts, a couple dry sandwiches, and 2 bottles of milk. One plain, one chocolate. I thought about getting a Dr. Pepper, but the caffeine would just keep me up all night. There was a stand of overpriced, cheap-looking watches by the door next to a display of sunglasses. I did my best to pick out the most attractive one, then took my purchases to the front counter. I paid for the food, gas, and watch. Then I asked the attendant where the nearest motel was. He said there was one about 25 miles up the road. It was called the Best Way In Motel. I laughed and asked him if that was really the motel's name, and he said yes. Before I left, I checked the clock behind the counter and set my new watch 5 minutes fast to keep myself on time. I walked out of the gas station with my bag of goodies and stopped dead when I saw a man standing just out of the light of the service area, staring at my car, as if studying every detail, down to the license plate number. "Hey!" I shouted. The man looked at me, then slowly walked off down the street into the darkness. I ran over to the car, trying to catch a glimpse of his face, but also terrified to see it. But he was nowhere in sight. All I could see were trees. My eyes weren't good enough to see very much in the dark. With my heart pounding out of my chest, I got in the car and drove down the road as quickly as it would take me. "What's going on?" Jerry said from the back seat. "It's okay, baby. Go back to sleep." I wasn't asleep, he said, though his voice was weary. Who was that? Who? The man. I tried to keep my foot steady. You saw the man? Why was he looking in our car? What? He tried to open it, but he wasn't you, so I didn't let him in. By the time I found the voice to respond, Jerry had already fallen back asleep. I was torn between wanting him to wake up so he could talk to me and wanting him to sleep so he didn't have to. My eyes flashed to the rearview mirror every 15 seconds to see if the man was following us, or to see if that white van was following us. For all I knew, they were one and the same. Just because I didn't see the van at the gas station didn't mean it wasn't there. Now that we were on the road again, it was too dark to see very far back, which both eased my nerves and heightened them. Finally, I willed myself to stop shaking and turned on the radio. I needed the hum. All right.
Wow.
It's chapter 4. It's a short one.
Hmm. Short cliff, like that almost keeps us on like a cliffhanger. It's like a television show. You're just like, what's the next season have in store?
Let's
Like,
see.
they're gonna kill my favorite character.
I don't know. That's always the
No.
worst, isn't it?
It is, especially when it's like time and time again. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like Game of Thrones, which I haven't watched, but you know, always seems to happen.
Yeah, I
But
haven't watched it either, but everybody's favorite character seems to die at some point in that show.
true. And so many other, shows that live on for so many seasons too.
Yeah.
Um, so I know that you mentioned, so okay. So we got, I think you mentioned, uh, okay. So I'm going to have you pick. So I have, let's see. Okay. So I'm gonna have you pick two questions here because there are four in total. So
Okay.
I'm gonna have you just pick two to close things up here.
Sounds good.
Okay. So here are the four questions, and then you pick two. All right. Because you kind of went over this a little bit, but it depends. So please describe a moment you've experienced when you've witnessed your art impact someone. One. Two, what was the querying and publishing process? The What advice would you like to give to writers looking to get published? I guess the fourth one would be, what other projects are you currently working on? So
Okay.
pick two. If you want to do all four, I'm gonna leave that up to you to decide. But I know we kind of started late and got into Q&A without the
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, no, I'll go with let's see, I'll go with the last two.
Okay.
The one about what advice would I give to writers?
Hmm.
And then the last one, the other projects.
Okay.
So
That's fine.
in terms of other projects, I'm working on where I wrote an LGBTQ love story that I have written and edited and am currently querying. So again, exciting, but also a lot of rejections. But the other one is the psychological horror novel that I was working on. So I'm also in the process of querying that. So two very different genres. And I'm also working on a few different screenplay projects. So one is a romantic comedy, and there's another one that's a kind of a thriller that my partner and I are working on. So a lot of things in the works, which is always exciting. And then my advice for writers is, I feel like I'm being a bad example of this, but one thing would be to, no matter what, just try to finish what you're working on. So I know I tend to kind of jump around a little bit, and I think it's okay to do that if you're feeling inspired, but it can also be very easy to start a million different projects and not really finish any one of them. So my advice to writers would be to just sit down and kind of push through and really make sure that you finish at least one thing. you'll feel very proud of yourself. You'll feel like you completed a project and you'll feel accomplished. And I would also say if you are publishing or looking to publish a book, just don't give up. It can be so easy to get down on yourself and feel bad when you do get rejected or you get criticism. And just remember, each rejection is another step closer to getting your book
Yes.
published or
Okay.
your screenplay sold or whatever it is you're trying to do. So do not give up. I know it's a cliche, but it's the most important piece of advice I've ever received, and hopefully it'll help other writers too.
Nice. And I must say, for a person who doesn't read a whole lot, but does like um, dramatic television, I was intrigued again, once again, to your like those two pages that you read for us tonight. Um, so I hope people out there um, show their interest by checking out your book, purchasing it, or going to the library, picking up a copy, getting to know it a little bit more, and then putting it on their bookshelf and going back to it more often than not.
Well, thank you, Erin. And don't worry, maybe eventually it'll be either a television series or a movie. So then if you're not a
Okay.
big reader, you can always watch it come to life.
This is true. Hence, these little like pieces of merchandise, right, from Harry Potter are great examples
Yep,
of like what one person wrote on a little napkin and then people just, and it's still to this day like one of the biggest books of all time. So, one
absolutely.
book and then a whole series. But but yeah, no, this has been quite a treat. I am so excited that we got to talk. And by the way, I want to answer a really quick question for anybody who wants to know how we know each other. So, really quick, and I'm trying to make this quick because I will try. So, Audrey and I used to, well, we didn't go to college together, but we met at an open mic. Okay. Now this is funny because I walked into the conference room and I'm, in the conference room where all these, uh, poets would meet together. And can't remember the lady who managed the open mic. But anyway, I walked in and I saw the different performers and I sat down and here's Audrey going up and she performs a poem about a rubber ducky. I vaguely, do you remember this or okay?
Yeah, the I think it's the bathtub.
Yes, yes, okay. And to this day, okay, let everybody know 8 years ago, almost 10, and I don't even know anymore. But I do remember that distinctly in my mind to this day, okay? And that was one of my like favorite poems during that open mic segment. And like that has always lived as being a great memory um, of artists that I've encountered, just watching, listening, and now to see you have developed in, screenwriting. And then I saw your film and Sandra R, complicated last name, she did film festival. We showed one of your films. Wonderful job and great cast members. And then, of course, now seeing you in the light of book writing. This is fantastic. And I couldn't be
Oh,
more proud of you um, because I know we haven't, grown up together or been friends, right? Like on a personal level, but I've seen you grow and it's been amazing from afar and from up close, in this interview.
well,
So,
that is so sweet of you, Erin. I don't even remember sharing that poem. I think it's so wonderful that you remember that. I'm so glad it stood out to you. I definitely have some good memories of open mic and hanging out with you at Harper and likewise, 100%. I love that you do this interview series. I think it's so awesome that you try to shed light on local artists.
Thank
And
you.
now you're working on your own children's book. You know,
Yeah.
you're truly an artist yourself, and I think it's been amazing to see you grow as well.
Well, thank you. And of course, I hope you enjoyed the cartoon. You showed a lot of excitement
I
with
loved
it.
it.
So it was a pleasure to make, and I'll send it by to you after this interview or in the next week or so with just your title and your name and the cartoon. So I hope you enjoy it. Take it with you as a gift of my appreciation. And we're going to close off by um, asking you to plug, shout out, or talk about any upcoming events
Cool. Yeah,
on
I mean, I
social
would say
media.
the Independent Writers of Chicago event on February 8th. I'll try to post a link to that. And then yeah, social media, you can follow me Twitter and Instagram, Dreamer by Day 91. Check out my website and follow me on Goodreads. And if you have read Wrong Girl Gone, please feel free to leave a review on Goodreads or Amazon. And then in terms of shout outs, I'd like to give a shout out to my family, my wonderful supporting friends, and my partner, Danny. They've all been so
Jenny.
supportive. Yeah, they've all been so supportive and so understanding of me, and I couldn't have done any of this without them. And then thank you as well, Aaron, for this lovely interview. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
You're welcome. And I got some comments um here really quick because I promised.
Yeah.
So we got gotta thank the people here. So we got okay, Jordan Peele is an amazing storyteller and weaves everything into societal issues. Perfect. Woo, what an amazing portfolio, says Ray. Guilty of multiple ongoing projects. Love the positive outlook. And then thank you for your insight from Sharon. Appreciate you, Audrey. What have two? Oh, we have Katie says we have two copies in this house. Can't
Thank you,
wait for
Katie.
more from Miss Wilson. And what a great story, Aaron and Audrey. And then, of course, Ray to top it off again. We got thank you so much for sharing and congratulations on the debut novel. Thank you, Aaron, for putting this together. Well, everybody, you are wonderful people. I really enjoy. Wait, hold on a minute. She said, wait a minute. Sharon says here, because sometimes the comments don't show up after this. So Audrey Wilson, I have a good friend who is putting together a book series. Would you be willing to share thoughts on her writing if she would like to reach out to you?
Yeah,
Oh,
feel free to
okay,
connect her with me. I'm happy to give
cool.
advice when I can.
There you go. So Sharon, I encourage you, go to her website and send her an email, and then you guys can connect, and then you can connect the dots, and then we can go forward. I like to always give out comments because people are commenting, and for those who don't know, when you do a video, no comments show up after this video debuts. So it's always important that we give out recognition to those people who tune in and comment away, even if it means that the video was about to be done. So have a great night, guys. Had such a pleasure to bring my blue Yeti microphone and my tripod and my new phone all together to start up the season of Behind the Mic with a Behind the Book segment with Audrey as the kickoff. So I hope you guys go check it out. Run Girl Gone. Check out Audrey and when she's all about. Go check out some other Behind the Mic episodes on my Instagram and hopefully on my Facebook pretty soon. And the next episode, which is where we're ending tonight, is Drew the Poet and Ashley Williams, who is a filmmaker, documentary filmmaker. who's Ashley, and then a poetry writer who is Drew the Poet. So we're going back more into behind film and behind writing. So it's awesome. So guys, have a great night. Thank you, Audrey, again. Any last comments?
Just thank you, Aaron. This was a great interview. I really appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.